Yes, this is a real human narration made by a real person, not AI or a robot. Not a sentient toaster reading patch notes. If I mispronounce something, that's called being alive. The Fable Reboot drama is getting messier by the hour, and it's not even out yet. If you grew up on Fable, you're probably sweating. If you didn't, you're about to witness the funniest corporate stumble, since someone tried to sell live service as a love language. Because right now, this isn't hype season. This is internet receipts season. Somebody says something wild, people screenshot it, the fandom explodes, then Xbox fans stare at the ceiling, like they're trying to astral project out of reality. And it starts with the creative leads, because the vibe coming from this reboot is online, like aggressively online. One of the lead designers has described themselves publicly as a deer, not as a joke, not as a silly nickname, more like full identity lore posted with the confidence of someone updating their LinkedIn skills section. Now listen, I'm not the personality police. Be a deer, be a lamb, be a sentient parking cone with emotional depth, live your best life. But when you're rebooting one of Xbox's most beloved RPGs, people are going to ask the obvious question. Are we fixing combat? Or are we prioritizing forest roleplay and Salt Lick realism? Because gamers aren't paying $70 for Vibe's Sanctuary Simulator. They want a game. They want systems. They want mechanics. They want that classic Fable feeling, where the world reacts to your choices like you're a walking problem. And that's why fans are nervous. Not because they hate weirdness. Fable is built on weirdness. They're nervous because this looks like weirdness without focus. Like the game might be made for Twitter first and players second. And once that fear enters the chat, it never leaves. Okay, now let's talk about the fanbase relationship. Because this is where the temperature jumps. There's been developer commentary floating around that reads like the team isn't just disagreeing with fans. It reads like they actively dislike them. Like the fanbase is an enemy faction. One dev posted about wanting to make games more aggressively queer, out of spite for the fanbase. And before anybody tries to twist this into a lazy outrage clip, relax. Queer characters are not the issue. Put queer characters in the game. Make the whole kingdom queer. Make the chickens queer. I do not care. The issue is the spite. Spite is not game design. Spite is not a creative direction. Spite is you having a personal argument with strangers online, except now your argument has a Microsoft budget, and the customer is paying for it. That's like a chef getting mad at Yelp reviews, and then deciding to serve raw chicken as revenge. Like, congratulations, you sure showed them. Now everybody's sick and your restaurant is closed. Players are not the enemy. Players are the reason your studio exists. So, when devs start talking like they're punishing the audience, people don't just get annoyed. They get worried. Because that tells you the priorities are emotional, not creative. And when a game is made with resentment, you feel it. In the writing, in the tone, in the way criticism gets dismissed, in the way the marketing starts sounding smug instead of confident. Fable shouldn't hate you. Fable should let you be chaotic and then roast you for it. That's the difference. Now the big corporate phrase enters the arena. The one that always shows up before disaster. We're broadening appeal, bringing it to a new generation. And okay, sure, new players exist. Nobody is saying only 2004 veterans deserve fun. But every time a studio says this, what they really mean is, we're sanding down the sharp edges so nobody complains. And here's the problem. The modern audience is like Bigfoot. Everybody swears they've seen it. Nobody can provide receipts. It trends, it posts, it lectures. Then it doesn't buy the game. Studios keep designing for this invisible crowd, and it always goes the same way. They delete the personality. They soften the humor. They remove the rude charm. They turn a unique franchise into safe fantasy oatmeal. Old Fable was rude, chaotic, British in a way that felt like being bullied by a villager while you're saving the world. You could commit petty crimes, and the game still found a way to laugh at you. That's what made it special. So when you hear broadening appeal, fans hear personality removal. And they're not wrong to be suspicious because that pattern is undefeated. The reboot can modernize without becoming generic. It can improve combat, improve systems, improve pacing, improve graphics, that's all fine. But if modernizing means turning Fable into another serious fantasy adventure with quirky moments, then why even bother? That's not a reboot. That's a franchise cosplay. And speaking of vibes, the studio messaging has been leaning heavily into culture wins and internal scoring. The kind of stuff that looks amazing in corporate slides. And again, before anyone gets weird about it, healthy workplaces are good. Inclusion is good. Nobody is arguing against basic humanity. But here's the reality. Fun does not come from a spreadsheet. Fun is what happens when the sword swing feels clean, when the dodge works, when the magic has weight, when quests surprise you, when choices actually matter. You can have the best workplace vibes on earth and still ship a game that plays like a wet sock. And when a studio spends more time talking about internal policy than gameplay, it doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like hiding. Players don't buy culture. Players buy this is fun. They buy this makes me laugh. They buy I can't stop playing. So, if the public conversation is 90% corporate language and 10% mechanics, that's not reassuring. That's the sound of a studio trying to win the internet instead of winning launch day. Now we get to the stuff fans actually care about. The franchise identity. Because Fable wasn't just another fantasy RPG. It had signature features people still remember. Like the morphing system. You got stronger and your body changed. You did evil stuff and you looked evil. You felt like the world was reacting to you on a deeper level than just dialogue option A. It wasn't perfect, but it was iconic. So, when those features are unclear or missing, fans don't hear modernization. They hear genericification. And that fear is valid, because this is the classic reboot sin. Use the name, drop the weird, keep the safest parts. Then act shocked when everyone says it doesn't feel right. If you remove what makes Fable Fable, all you have left is a fantasy game with a famous sticker slapped on it. And nobody who played the originals is going to fall for that sticker. They know the difference between an actual reboot and a franchise puppet wearing the old face. Here's another thing that keeps creeping into the vibe around this reboot. The sense that escapism is being replaced with lectures. A lot of criticism gets treated like a moral failure. Like if you don't like something, you're not allowed to just not like it. You have to be the problem. That energy kills games, because people play to relax, to laugh, to explore, to do dumb quests, to be chaotic in a silly world. They do not want to be scolded, like they walked into a seminar without doing homework. Feedback isn't hated. Nostalgia isn't a crime. Wanting the old vibe back isn't some toxic personality trait. But marketing loves spinning criticism into character assassination, because it's easier than admitting the reboot might be off. And players notice that manipulation instantly. They don't even argue back anymore, they just leave. That's the danger. Not angry tweets, quiet apathy. Now zoom out for a second. Look at Microsoft, look at the industry. Companies have been changing how loudly they talk about certain corporate themes. Less front and center. More strategic priorities, more safe language, more quiet pivoting. And if the Fable team built their entire internal identity around a trend that the parent company is now pulling away from, that creates a mess. Mixed messaging, confused priorities, studio whiplash. And you know what happens when a game gets built during a pivot? It starts feeling like two different games stapled together. One part trying to be bold. One part trying to be safe. One part trying to be edgy. One part trying to be approved. That's how you get a Franken game. A project that goes through 3 identities mid-development. And again, the executives won't feel that pain. You will, through delays, cuts, rewrites, weird trailers, and a final product that feels unsure of itself. Fable cannot be unsure of itself. That franchise needs confidence. And yeah, the cringe factor is already showing. A lot of long-time fans have watched the trailers and said the same thing. The humor feels off. The tone feels like it's trying too hard. Old Fable humor didn't beg for laughs. It didn't pause like please clap. It just hit you with the joke and moved on. It was rude. It was silly. It had teeth. The new vibe feels like hello fellow gamers energy. Like someone learned humor from social media branding. And I'm not asking for offensive humor. I'm asking for humor that's alive. Because sanitized comedy isn't funny. It's content. It's the type of dialogue you forget while it's still happening. And if the reboot's tone is built on modern meme humor, that's risky. Memes expire fast. Fable needs to last. Now the big structural problem. Too many cooks. Modern studios can have endless committees and internal groups influencing the creative direction. And you can feel it when a game is built like that. It stops having one voice, it becomes a patchwork. One moment it's grim. Next it's wholesome. Then it's modern snark. Then it's a lecture. Then it's a wink to camera. Then it's corporate quirk. It's like 5 writers fighting over the wheel while the car is on the highway. That's great for meetings. That's terrible for storytelling. Fable needs a tone, not a group project. And casual fans will feel this too, even if they don't care about the drama. They'll feel it as inconsistency. Weird pacing. Dialogue that shifts mood mid-scene. Humor that doesn't land. That's not variety. That's confusion. So, what does this all add up to? It adds up to the classic reboot death spiral. The one everyone has seen 100 times. Arguing with your audience instead of impressing them. Chasing imaginary markets instead of honoring the identity. Replacing weird charm with corporate polish. Treating feedback like an attack. And the worst part is this is preventable. This is always preventable. The solution is simple, and it's the part nobody wants to hear because it's boring. Don't pre-order. Wait for raw gameplay. Wait for reviews that show systems, not trailers. Watch how the studio talks about players near launch. If the tone becomes respectful and the gameplay looks fun, cool. Buy it. Enjoy it. Win. If the tone stays smug, and the gameplay looks like a corporate experiment wearing Fable's skin, save your money. Because companies don't learn from hashtags. They learn from sales. And right now Fable is not launching like a fairy tale adventure. It's launching like internet drama with a release date. And trust me, this story is not done yet.